Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Prehistoric Kingdom. My name is Swoop there and we are here in Red Sands National Paleo Reserve building an exhibit house. I don't know why I decided to build an exhibit house for this build, or for this episode I suppose. I just needed a little rest from all the habitats I'd been building and this just seemed like the best idea. Now this is quite a small one. I think it only ends up with let me think now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 exhibits in the whole building, but they're slightly larger, and I will talk about why they're slightly larger because we're going to have a little chat about some prehistoric insects. Now, I actually can't believe I'm about to talk about these horrid creatures, but hey, it's me, so fuck it, here we go. I thought when I was building this building in particular that I needed to kind of have in mind the kind of creatures that I was going to put in there. So I went and did some Googling and I did some research, and what I found was horrific, for want of a better word, but also I hate to say it, quite interesting, and I thought you guys would like to hear some of the things I found out, or some of the facts. So we're going to say that one of the habitats, or one of the exhibits in this little exhibit house, has a Meganura. Now I have looked up how to say these creatures' names, however I also could be incorrect, so could the internet. So we're going to say Meganura. Now this thing is an ancient prehistoric dragonfly type insect which had a wingspan of like over 70 centimeters long. Now that is out of control. Like, can we also first of all talk about how that would genuinely freak me out, because I am already afraid of moths. I mean, moths in Australia can get quite big, so they are quite scary, although I do realise they are harmless. Don't come for me. They just are revoltingly horrible. I just can't cope with them flapping around. So when there's lights on at night, shut the door and keep them out, is how I feel. However, this particular one, the Meganura, it does have a longer, fancier name, but this is the one that I found and that will do. That one can go into one of these exhibits. Now, another one that can go into one of these exhibits is the manipulator cockroach. Another one that has a longer, fancier name, but we know how I am now with pronunciation, so I kind of like its cooler, shorter name, which is the manipulator cockroach. Another thing that is going to haunt me in my nightmares. Or actually, it wasn't too bad. It was only about 1 centimetre long, apparently. However, it was a predatory cockroach, according to what I read, and it was apparently ferocious predatory cockroach, which would have just trotted across the forest floor and just generally made meals of a bunch of other insects. So that's nice. So that can go into one of these as well, and I would not volunteer to be the keeper of this exhibit. Leave a comment down below if you'd be happy to just be the keeper and look after all of these insects. Don't leave a comment yet, because we're not done. So we're not done yet, and you need to know what else is in this exhibit house. Now the next thing we're going to include is the giant centipede, not the Anthropleura, because I feel like that's probably too big for one of these exhibits. The giant centipede, which is apparently, the Anthropleura is apparently the mega version of the giant centipede. But good Lord, yeah, I'm talking about the giant centipede. Here's a picture of what I'm referring to. Yeah, you can thank me later. I nearly fainted putting that in, so They were apparently similar, though, to modern-day centipedes, which also do freak me out. I don't know why, actually. They're pretty harmless, those, but they freak me out. And yes, I know I live in Australia and there's a bunch of deadly things everywhere, but funnily enough, they don't just pop into our houses. They are in the bush and stuff like that, which, they're far from where I am. And I don't tend to go searching for the deadly creatures of Australia. Although I have come into contact with quite a few snakes, but that's besides the point. We're talking about the giant centipede. So yeah, they were similar to modern day centipedes, apparently in most ways except one. These prehistoric bastards were like over 3 feet long. Now that, folks, is just out of control. That's out of control because, and this is something I found out while reading, the modern day centipede, or the modern day giant centipede, we call it the giant centipede, is only 25 centimetres long. Sorry, I don't know what that is in inches, but it's only 25 centimetres long. And that centipede that currently lives on the earth has been known to like prey on bats and birds and even snakes. So imagine what a 3-foot version is going to do. And we're done with the prehistoric centipede. Okay, so the last one I'm going to talk about is the giant land scorpion, which was known as the pulmonoscorpius, I think. It has another name after pulmonoscorpius, but that's enough for me. It means breathing scorpion, apparently, and it was just, ladies and gentlemen, you guessed it, a giant freaking scorpion. No, thank you. It was apparently discovered in Scotland, funnily enough, and it was most likely a predator, just like all the other scorpions that exist in the world today. So yeah, I don't think I'd like to come across that. Here's a size comparison for those people that aren't too sure how long that would be. And yeah, that can stay well away from me. So now drop a comment down below if you'd be happy to be the keeper of this exhibit house. So I'm sure you're thinking, why Swoop? Why so huge? Why so huge, you ask? Well, yes, I also did some research into that. And apparently, the main school of thought is that it was due to oxygen. So, yep, that thing we're all breathing now. And again, we all just took breaths of about 21% oxygen. But back when these bad boys were around, the oxygen levels were way higher. And apparently that was due to like the unrivaled plant growth and massive forests that were plastered across the earth. And also apparently something to do with a lack of bacteria that hadn't actually appeared on the earth yet. So the wood didn't decompose, and that particular bacteria actually uses quite a lot of oxygen. So that didn't exist yet. So the plants were like going off and releasing heaps of oxygen. Therefore, these bugs were just sucking up the oxygen and getting giant. So anyway, according to some YouTube video I watched, it's the way in which arthropods actually take in oxygen and then distribute it around to other parts of their body that actually help them grow so massive in prehistoric times. Because they can only get to a certain size today because of the amount of oxygen in the air versus back then when there was just a ton more, I suppose. Hence, the giant bugs trotting about everywhere. That's revolting. Apparently, we also know this to be true because some insane scientists who are keen to find out more have actually raised, I think, dragonflies and maybe some other insects, but they actually raised them in like controlled oxygen-rich enclosures, and yeah, guess what? They, after generations, got bigger. Go figure. But there are some other scientists that are like, no, I think it was likely they were that big because they had to be that big. Now, there's a whole other story that I read about on that side of the debate as well, but God, I have talked about giant insects way more than I ever thought I ever would in my life. So you guys can look that up on your own if you're interested in seeing that side of the debate. But I will leave you with this juicy little fact that I came across whilst researching bugs. At the moment, in the world, there are about 2.5 million ants to one human. Yeah, 2.5 million. So let's hope they never get organised, guys, because we would be ended, I'm sure. 2.5 million for you, 2.5 million for me. That's a lot of ants. Anyway, let's talk about my build. So you can see at the moment it's dark. I kind of was doing the lighting for each of the exhibits, and then I go in and cover up the ceiling here. You can see with like the internal ceiling. So this is obviously not what it's going to look like on the outside, but on the inside, I don't love making interiors, but I feel like when it comes to things like exhibit houses and things, you kind of have to do like the bare minimum to make it realistic, because you do actually walk through in like the real-time walkthroughs and things and actually look inside the building. So I'm doing air conditioning ducts here, and then I'll put like a door on the actual front of the exhibit house so that it is cool inside. Otherwise this thing would just be a hot box because it's made of brick. So when the brick heats up, the whole building would heat up and it would be horrific to be in there. So I'm just just doing like the bare minimum here, popping in some ducting, and then I just flip it over and drop it down and then put the ceiling back. So that's what I'm doing there, just to make it easy for myself, because I'd already built all the interior and it is a pain to try and adjust all of this stuff once there is a roof on there. So I just popped it all in first, and then I went in and popped the ceiling on, and then I'll go in and build the roof in a minute. I know we only talked about, I think, 4 prehistoric bugs, and there's 6 little exhibits in here. So if there is any like, I want to say like a small animal rather than a small, like another insect. I mean, of course, if there are other insects, then let me know in the comments, but I would like to put like some very small animals as well in like these exhibits, or potentially maybe I'll do another exhibit house, or like small habitat house, where I can put some implied very small animals in, or very small dinosaurs. I know that they did make one in my Alpha Park. I forget what it was called now, but I really like the look of it. So I'll put that link in here, and then that one could potentially be one that could go into one of these small habitats. I actually think it might even be too big for one of these exhibits. It might have to go into like another build at another stage. But anyway, I decided to go with a pretty simple exterior for this building. So it's basically a square shape, as you can see. And then I actually looked up different types of roofs or roofing online to see like what they're actually called, and like the different types that you can actually, get in different buildings these days. And this one, I forget what it was called, but it just intrigued me that this is like a type of roof that I'm sure many people have seen, but it's not common, and I haven't seen it in Australia very much. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I'm going to build this in on top of the exhibit house. So as I've done this, I thought, this is also quite boring, and it doesn't really look real, because once again, you do have to make like a foundation, which you can see I'm doing now, like a concrete foundation. And then you also need to put like supports on the buildings. Otherwise it does just look like really, really basic. So I go in and I put some supports, and I put like some interesting structure on the roof and so on. And then once I'm done, I took quite a lot of photos to put on the thumbnail, and then decided that actually, no, I also want to do like some gardening and things around the outside. So I put in some rock at the back so that it's not just a dirt, like a big dirt drop and things like that. So I've ended up making it look as realistic as I think I can. I also have put some signage on the front, which is not my best work in terms of signage, which you will see. However, it's a start. So I will remind you, it has been a while since I've played this game in earnest, and I think at the time of recording this, I've made quite a few habitats, and I just need to do voiceovers and finish editing a few and so on. But when I was actually building this particular one, I think I was only two habitats in at this stage. So I'm still pretty fresh, and you can probably tell from a lot of the ways I'm jumping around. But I'm back, so that's the main thing. Thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. I will see you in the real-time walkthrough at the end. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and like the video. See you shortly. Alrighty, here we are in the real-time walkthrough. Now for those that aren't aware of where we are in the park, up here is the entrance build and the general entrance area, and then down this way is sort of the first figure of 8 loop that you can do that sort of will lead you all the way around this side of the park, and then you'll eventually be able to come back this way. There's going to be something else here which I haven't quite got to yet, but it's coming. This, I just noticed, looks horrific, and there's a bush poking through, so lovely. But we'll sort this out shortly, and then what we're going to do, we're just going to pop down here past the Psittacosaurus habitat into the exhibit house, and I will show you what we got done. Now at the moment it's during the day, but I will change it to nighttime when we get inside the building, so you can kind of see how the lighting works in there and so on. I do want to put lighting all around the park. I just have done the exhibit building first because it just felt like that I really needed to do it while the roof was off, otherwise that would have been a nightmare to try and install that afterwards. So yeah, we come along here, and if you want to see the Psittacosaurus, you can, as a guest, just pop in here and have a little look at them. Hello, fellows. Oh, we won't go down like that though. They love hanging around at the water here, so you often get a good view of them there, and then you just carry on this way to the exhibit house, so you can come on past. I put a little garden bed down here as well, and some seating, so if you want to sit here and kind of listen to the sounds of the Psittacosaurus, then crack on. The exhibit house sign needs a bit of work. We're not happy with it. I want to put like some wording on here and then some lines and so on, but I think I'll do that in a live. And then we just head on through and we're in the exhibit house. Now I've got these here. I feel like they'd probably be locked. So I might put like a padlock or something on them, but I feel like they would be locked so that, you know, obviously only the keepers can open them. Otherwise you'd have giant centipedes and scorpions running around inside this park. But these doors definitely would be locked, so no one can actually get to these ones. It's only these ones that are out here in the open, and then this one down here as well. So we're just going to come through. Now sadly a lot of the plants are missing, so I'm going to go back in and put them all back in. I don't know what happened. I must have had them grouped and accidentally deleted them when I was building, but interestingly the plants in these sort of rainforest ones haven't gone, so they must be in a different group. I'm really not that great with making groups when I'm building. I need to get much better at it. It's not great. So we've got this habitat on this side. The trees are still in there, interestingly, and that's sort of like a deserty one. And then as you go across this way, interesting about the shadows at the moment in game. I'm not sure what's causing that. It must just be a bug, but you can see like you just kind of walk along and then it's how it should be, and then you slightly move your mouse and it changes immediately. So I don't know whether that's a bug they're aware of. I'm sure it is, but yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting because I've definitely got a roof on here. Anyway, so you come along and you have a little look for any insect that you might be able to see. This one might be the scorpion, so that would be very apparent, I think. And then you would come on this way. This is a keeper entrance or a staff entrance only. And you have a look in here. We're going to have to put all these plants back because it looks a bit bare at the moment. And then you've got this rainforest habitat in the middle, and then you've got the other one on the other side. So whatever's in there is in there. And then we'll go over to here to this one as well. Now this is the biggest one in the entire building, so I'm not sure what would be the best one to put in here. Maybe the giant centipede, given that it's 3 feet long? Meh. But I mean, each of these are sort of 4 meters long, aren't they? So yeah, it should be fine. And then, yeah, I mean, this is basically it, guys. Just the interior of the exhibit house. I will show you the exterior quickly, but first let's just change the time of day so that you can see the lighting. There we go. So we're now at night, and you can kind of see if you came in here and it was sort of sunset or whatever, you'd still get a really good view in the exhibit house. I feel like I'll put a door on here, and then it would be dark in here all the time, so maybe the lighting always looks like this regardless of whether it's day or night outside. So there is lights in every habitat or every little exhibit, and then you can, once you finish looking around, you can step back outside and head off home. You hopefully wouldn't be stepping back outside into the pitch black like it is now. I actually think it would be kind of scary to be at a dinosaur park in the middle of the night. But anyway, let's change it back to day, and I'll show you around the outside of the building. So just zoom up here. All right, so you can see I've put a bunch of rock along here. It makes it a lot more realistic than just having like a big slope of dirt. And then I've just put in this little garden bed at the end here. I feel like these types of garden beds would be well tended to by the gardeners of the park. It's the kind of these massive ones that I think you just kind of have to make look a bit messy, because that would be really hard for them to manage everything. But yeah, that's what I've got done. The back is looking a bit better as well with all this rock around. I might even do like a bit of a keeper walkway that comes this way, and the keepers sort of can connect this part or the top part of the park here and these pathways up here with this particular keeper area, because this is the main keeper area for this side of the park. So they have their car park, which you would have seen in a previous episode, and then they have these two massive buildings, but maybe they also have like just some sneaky walkways that I feel like a lot of parks would have, and maybe even like a small road for like, you know, the little four-wheelers or whatever that they probably get around in, and then there's going to be a road that goes all the way around here as well. So that is the exhibit house, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to my channel. I really appreciate your support. It's really great to be back. I'm really enjoying building. So thank you for commenting, liking, and I will, as always, see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye.